Hey guys, Joe here with howtohotshot.com. Okay, so I'm going to make this video and I really hope I don't miss anything, because this I know is going to be probably one of the most important videos I've ever made. This is the most commonly asked question about hotshotting, period, hands down, that I get and I've seen and come across online out there, and that is, do I need a CDL to get into hotshotting? And the answer to that question is no. You don't have to have a CDL. But before I get too far away from that point, I want to let you know that I do highly suggest that you do get a CDL. Eventually, if this is something that you get into and you like and you want to make a career with and you want to make a profession with, then I highly suggest you get a CDL. And I'm going to go over a few points on why having a CDL in the future can be more beneficial for you and just not creating as much headache, and it'll definitely make you more money on the equipment that you have if it's rated to go over that allotted amount. But I'm going to say this before and after I'm done with shooting this video. I am in no way an expert on every law in every state here in the United States. So just because I make a recommendation on this video doesn't mean that that is the law and that I'm providing you with any legal advice. A big part of trucking is understanding that laws constantly change. And anytime you put anything on the internet, things are constantly changing. So it is your responsibility as the operator of any vehicle or the owner of any company to review your laws before you send anybody down the road. I can just tell you what I know, being in the industry, but you've always got to check what you're doing as far as the cities, the states, and the federal regulations where you're operating. I can't stress that enough. But with that ado, I'll kind of just start here. A lot of people know about the 26 and 10 rule, and it's something I've talked about in my videos before. And a lot of people, who are looking to get into this industry actually don't even know about the 10. All they know about is the 26, and I'll tell you right now, that will get you put into some hot water. If you're considering hotshotting and going down the road without a CDL, you have absolutely got to take a look at everything you're putting together and know what you're doing before you put it together. Because if you think that you can have everything you have and just not exceed a combination of 26,000 pounds and you're going to be okay, you're absolutely wrong. It is a 26 and 10 rule, and I believe that's federal. Now, your states can supersede those laws. And, there has been talk in the past about eventually, and who knows if it'll ever happen, it's been talked about for a long time, and the fact that it could just become a 10,000 pound rule. I don't see that happening, but we'll end up seeing where that goes. So to get into the explanation on that briefly, what the 26 and 10 rule is basically the rule says you can't exceed 26,000 pounds. I think it's actually 26,001 pounds. Again, go back and review this. But the general number is 26,000 pounds, which means the combination of my truck and my trailer cannot exceed 26,001 pound in combination when I get on the scale. The 10,000 pound rule is the weight of my trailer. Okay? If the weight of my trailer exceeds 10,000 pounds, then I have to have a CDL. Now, it's real important how you interpret this, and I don't want to start war online, so I'm going to show you how, because I know that people are going to bicker back and forth and say, no, it means this, no, it means that. I highly urge you to go talk to a Department of Transportation official about this, because I have heard it both sides from a DOT officer. I've heard it both sides from trucking. I think it depends on who you talk to about this, but the 10,000 pound rule, what a lot of people believe as far as the 10,000 pound rule, just applies to your rear axles. And so a way to explain that is you pull onto the scale, they weigh your first axle, they weigh your second axle, and then either, your 1, your 2, or your 3 axles on the rear end. These axles cannot exceed 10,000 pounds. Not meaning that if I took my trailer and I actually dropped my trailer on the scale, the entire trailer would be under 10,000 pounds. I personally side with the fact that your trailer axles, while in combination with the tractor, cannot exceed 10,000 pounds in tow. This is the most commonly overlooked thing. Most people don't know about it. They just know about the 26,000. They forget about the 10,000. They hit the scale. The rear axles are 14,000 pounds, and they get written up for driving a vehicle that is a commercial vehicle without a commercial driver's license, and those fines get hefty. Let me tell you. But that's not the only thing to remember in this whole entire thing. So that 26 and 10 rule. Let's just take well, first let's start with the 10. A commercial vehicle is classified in most states and most places as anything that exceeds, I think, is at or exceed, or anything at 10,000 or more pounds. You know, I am no DOT guidebook. Walking DOT guidebook, so I want you guys to look this up. This is just a general reference, but at 10,000 pounds or more, that's when you're classified as a commercial vehicle. What that means is, it don't matter if you have a CDL or not. That does not matter whatsoever. You are still expected to have commercial insurance. You're still expected to run a logbook. You are still expected to do everything that you have to do, whether you're in a tractor trailer or whether you're in a hotshot rig, if you're in any vehicle that exceeds that 10,000 pounds. Okay, so I think that a lot of people want to get into this industry because they think that they can play in the commercial vehicle game, in the commercial trucking game, and not have to cut any of the red tape or go through what a lot of the guys who are driving larger Class 8 tractors have to go through, and that is not the truth. We still have to do logbooks. We still have to carry commercial insurance. We are still registered through the Federal Motor Carrier Security Administration. We're still doing drug tests. We're still doing everything everybody else is doing because we exceed that 10,000 pound commercial vehicle limit. That's just something to really keep in mind. Now, moving on to the 26,000 here. Another side of this is just because you have, let's say, you hit the scale and you say, oh, my truck is only weighing at 25,900 pounds. The DOT officer pulls you in and he takes a look at your vehicle, okay? Your trailer's rated to transport 18,000 pounds, and or your trailer's GVWR is 18,000 pounds, and let's say your truck GVWR is 15,000 pounds. Well, then you're 33,000 pounds. Okay, the rule is 26,000. Doesn't mean if you're 25,900 pounds and you're under the 26,000 pound limit, your actual combined gross vehicle weight rating for both the combination truck and trailer have to be under the 26,000 pound mark. Okay? That's going to make it difficult for some of you guys to go out and buy equipment because the majority of your wedges that are on the market today are not at that 12 or 14,000 pound GVWR, which is where you're going to need them to be to get into the seat. Now, when I talk about that, I mean that the majority of wedges that are manufactured are not set at that GVWR, and a large majority of the trailers that are used, that are for sale out there, are not going to be under that GVWR. There are companies out there that manufacture these trailers specifically designed for people to be out there hotshotting without a CDL. And I've talked about them in the past. I'm not endorsed by any of these guys. I don't get any money by them. I think that they make great equipment. Take 3 makes a car hauler. It's a wedge, so it's just like this. It's a great piece of equipment. It's called the Take 3 48 Ultralight, I think. And it's a very light wedge. It's capable of hauling 3 cars on it. And the overall weight's like just a little more than 5,000 pounds from what I understand. Okay? That's going to be really important for you when you think about it, because the wedges that I have weigh about 8,000. So that's 3,000 pounds lighter. When you think, oh, maybe 3,000 pounds isn't that much weight, that's the weight of an entire vehicle that you've taken off the weight of that wedge. Now, I've never owned one, just never had the ability or luxury of owning one from what I understand, they're great trailers. Take 3 is a large company. But I can't really speak to the quality of them, how long they last, you know, so on and so forth, because I've never owned one. But I do know that they are a larger company, and generally those larger companies don't get as big as they are without manufacturing good equipment. You know, you got to understand, a lot of these trailer companies come and go, and so, you know, I try and stick with the ones that have been around for years and years and years and are selling a ton of trailers, because obviously they're doing something right. So but Take 3 48 Ultralight, they are one of the guys that manufactures a wedge that is light enough to take and travel down the road and make it possible to get into this car hauling market. Again, you want your combined gross vehicle weight rating on both your truck and your trailer. There's going to be a little metal tag on the trailer, and it's going to tell you what it is, and it's going to be inside your door generally on your truck. You combine those 2 weights, and as long as they do not exceed that 26,000 pounds, you're good to move to the next step. Okay, so, you know, that's how that works. Now, there are a few different ways that you can get away with this, or you can get around this without having to haul a 48-foot trailer, okay? And one of the crafty ways that I've been kind of talking about, and you know, I'm not the only person that's ever thought about this, is that, and I'm kind of seeing more people get involved, is it's really tricky to keep your weight on the trailer and keep that rear axle under 10,000 pounds. You know, so with 3 vehicles running on your trailer, you know, it is possible, but you're going to have to really pay attention to which way you're trying to position your vehicles as far as this first vehicle up here on the nose of your trailer, because if you've got too much weight on the truck, you know, you're overloading the truck. You get too much weight on the trailer, and you are you know, you're not overloading your rear end, because generally there's 2 7,000-pound axles on the rear of this trailer, but you are exceeding that GVWR in some cases, but you're breaking the law if you don't have a CDL to be doing that. Now, the cool thing about that is, you know, if you do get a CDL, in a lot of instances, you can keep your truck, you can sell your trailer, because there's going to be a lot of people like you looking for a used trailer out there that are going to be willing to pay that good money for it. And then you can upgrade to a you know, trailer kind of like the ones that I have that you've seen in previous videos. I have really nice quality wedges, and they've got higher GVWRs, which gives me a huge spectrum on kind of what I can do and what I can transport on those trailers as far as larger vehicles, and you know, I get up there in weight. So, but some of those crafty ways that I've been talking about in the past, or you know, was talking about earlier, is one thing that I mentioned in the comment sections when I was talking to someone about this very thing, is a setup kind of like this. There is a company out there called Hodges Custom Haulers. Great company. They read the about section on these guys' website. They have been around for like 20-25 years, a family-owned business. You know, if I remember, it's been months since I read it, but the guy started building these Hodges Custom Haulers to transport his race cars, and at the end of the race season, guys were just begging him to buy them, and so every year he just continued to build them, and then after so many years, he just decided, hey, you know, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to get into building these things, and they've had this family business for over 20 years or something like that. That's an awesome story. I think his daughter's involved with it now and stuff, and so just good, really good for them. But you know, where I don't know if they were really convenient back in the day for people in the hotshotting industry, they are really convenient for people now. Because what you end up doing is basically the easiest way to look at a Hodges Custom Hauler is almost like a tow truck. So you have your truck, and then you have a bed on the back. Except for a tow truck has that like tilt, you know, and it shoots out so it can drag vehicles that don't run or whatever up on top of it. Hodges Custom Hauler just basically is a shorter ramp that's on the back of a 1-ton, or they can build them for larger vehicles than a 1-ton. And you just drive that first vehicle up onto here. They have a trailer that they provide, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this. You want to go grab my chalk? They have a trailer that works really well with this whole setup, and I'll kind of talk about it because you know, so we've talked in the past about the payload on the rear end, And with the payload on the rear end, you know, you got to take a look at what you got, you know, as far as the truck that you have. But with your payload on the rear end, you're probably talking, you know, between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. Check on your stuff. Check on your stuff. Check on your stuff. But generally on your 1 tons, depending on the year, you're getting 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. So if I take a vehicle that weighs 3,000 pounds and I put it on the rear end of this vehicle, okay, that should leave me about 1,500 pounds of tongue weight. Now, if I take, and I've got 2 vehicles, and bear with me here because I hope you already have, my drawing is not the best, okay? I'm a truck driver, I'm not an artist, you know? But I have 2 vehicles sitting here, okay? If I pull this vehicle on head first and the motor is here, okay, all my weight sits over the hitch here, okay? Which means that I have to counter this, because if I put my motor here over these axles, I've got more than 1,500 pounds here. Now, I talked in one of my recent videos about always knowing the weight limits of your connections. If you get a hitch that's only rated for 500 pounds here, and you're putting 1,500 pounds here, you're 3 times the working load limit, you're just begging for danger. I don't know what their load limits are as far as what their connection point on the back of the truck is. I know that they design these. When you purchase the Hodges custom halter, they actually build this setup for you. And I don't know if they use the standard hitch or if they use like an extended hitch or a pintle hitch. That's something I would ask them. But I did notice that instead of having a flat deck trailer on a Hodges custom hauler, theirs comes up and comes down. And I thought, when I saw that, I thought that was genius. That was an absolutely genius idea. Because what it allows you to do is flip your vehicles around and put the nose of your weight, or you know, the rear end of your vehicle, the lighter portion of your weight, further back, and position that weight in a way that you keep enough weight on your tongue of your trailer, but keep enough weight on the actual axles of the trailer to keep it off the tongue so that you don't overload the truck itself. It's a pretty genius idea. From what I understand, and I've never owned one and never operated one, these guys make some pretty great equipment. Now, you know, with everything, it's going to run you. It's going to be a little pricey. But when you take a look at the cost of the equipment to have the bed built, installed on your truck and the trailer, to be honest, this equipment costs almost the same amount as money or less than a brand new wedge, okay? And the cool thing about this, and the way this really works, is instead of having 3 vehicles on a trailer and having to worry about keeping my weight on the trailer under 10,000 pounds, I've got 1 car up here on the truck, and then I've got 2 vehicles back here. This becomes all about keeping my weight under 26,000 pounds. Less weight on the trailer, and I mean, you know, it's kind of you're half of one and half of the other, because you've got a custom bed that's probably built out of steel or aluminum. But you know, I don't know. I would want to look at it and see if it weighed less or just about the same as a full size wedge that's going to be about 50 feet in length or 53 feet in length to begin with. So I like these guys. I think this is a really cool deal. And I'm glad that they're doing this for the industry. I really like this, and I highly, you know, I'd like to talk to someone that owns one of these and transports it. You know, so if you guys could reach out to me and kind of get with me, I'd love to get some feedback on how this works. Now, there is newer pieces of equipment that are out there. I haven't seen, and bear with me on my drawing right here. I know that this is a pathetic excuse of a drawing, but please imagine with me here that this is actually an NPR, like an Isuzu, or everybody manufactures them. There's a ton of different names. The most popular one is the Isuzu NPR. You guys know this one. They're the cab over trucks where the whole cab comes up and the motor's like basically you know, underneath your seats on the bottom. Now, I have seen something that's new out there a lot of guys are getting into, and it doesn't seem like a major company manufactures these things, but I thought it was an awesome idea, and I'm really liking it. What they're doing is they're taking these vehicles. I think the last one I actually saw was a Kenworth. They take these and it looks almost like a 27-foot stake bed, okay? And then they take the stake bed off of this thing and they build a car hauler on the back of it. There's a very similar piece of equipment that's manufactured out there called a 5-pack or something like that. And it's basically like a 5-car, 9-car hauler, except for it does not include a trailer. It can be operated with a Class B license. And basically what this is this is a 3-car version of that. It's a long ramp, very similar to the one that you see up here on this 1-ton. It's a long ramp that allows you to place 2 vehicles down here in the bottom, and then it has a hydraulic lifting, a pad up here, basically a ramp or a gate, that sits up here. So what you do is this top vehicle is the first one that you load. You leave this down and you just drive your first vehicle up onto here, and then you hydraulically lift it up, and then you drive your second and your third vehicle under. Thought this was a great idea. I don't know why some of these major car hauling companies haven't picked this up already and haven't started producing a product like this. I think this is genius, but before you get into this, one thing you're going to want to keep in mind is, what is my overall weight? Okay, I can tell you that a while back I looked at 2 different types of vehicles. I was looking at a Dodge Ram 3500 1-ton, and I was looking at a Dodge Ram 5500. And the 5500 did have a steel bed on the back. It had a flatbed on the back of it, but the difference in weight between the two was 2,000 pounds. Okay, so my 1-ton was 8,000 pounds and my 5500 was 10,000, weighed in just at 10,000 pounds. That was the biggest deciding factor on why I decided not to do it, because overall, before I even put a trailer or vehicles on it, I was only left with 16,000 pounds versus the 18,000 pounds that I was going to be left with when I went with this. Now, I'm sure you're doing the math right now when you realize I have an 8,000 pound truck and an 8,000 pound trailer. If I was to run under 26,000, if I was, assuming that my GVWRs on my trailer were under truck and trailer were under 26,000, which they are not, I would only have about 10,000 pounds for a vehicle, so that I'd be able to put on there. So there's just a lot that goes into this, a lot to talk about, a lot to consider. The one thing I want to drive home the most is that you cannot operate these hotshot vehicles without, doing all the stuff that's required of you to be a commercial vehicle, or your logs, your commercial insurance, so on and so forth. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you got any questions, I am sure I'm going to get peppered with them. Feel free to shoot them over, and there is a strong possibility I'll make a part 2 of this video. Thanks. See you in the next one.